Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're putting on our forensic linguist hats to deconstruct what is, without a doubt, the most complex, confounding piece of stage text in criminal history. We aren't here to speculate, right? We're just going to look through the cold, methodical lens of forensic analysis at the raw, unvarnished data of this infamous master file. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so here's our agenda. We'll be looking at the ransom note anomalies, Hollywood tropes and typos, the 21-minute risk, decoding the handwriting fingerprints, and finally, insiders versus intruders. Section 1. The ransom note anomalies. Examining the textual inconsistencies. The note clocks in at a staggering 376 words, spanning 2.5 pages. In the world of kidnapping and extortion, brevity is the rule, you know? But what's really fascinating here is the erratic psychological shifting. When you read this text as an analyst, you don't hear one cohesive author. Instead, you hear 3 distinct, contradictory personas kind of fighting for the microphone. You've got a radical, political group, a cold-blooded mercenary, and then someone harboring an intensely personal grudge. Notice how the author identifies themselves as a small, foreign faction. Well, in the realm of forensic linguistics, that is a massive red flag. Real terrorist cells or foreign operatives rarely, if ever, declare themselves to be a small foreign faction. It's just completely unnatural phrasing. This is a major linguistic anomaly designed specifically to distance the author from the local community. I mean, it literally reads exactly like a theatrical script.
Moving on to Section 2, Hollywood tropes and typos, manufactured errors and cinematic echoes. When linguistic experts analyzed the syntactic choices, they found these crazy, striking echoes of thrillers from the 1970s and 90s. The ransom note threatens, "If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies." Now compare that. It structurally and thematically mirrors a famously chilling line from Clint Eastwood's film Dirty Harry. "I don't care if it's a Pekingese pissing against a lamppost, the girl dies." The mirroring there is just undeniable.
And it doesn't stop with Dirty Harry. The author's really strange use of specific mathematical probabilities, like telling the parents they stand a 99% chance of killing their daughter or a 100% chance of getting her back, closely mirrors dialogue lines from major 1990s thriller movies like Speed and Ransom. So the linguistics clearly point to an author who's leaning heavily on classic Hollywood fiction to construct this threatening persona.
Alongside those movie tropes, we've got the spelling anomalies. Notice the strategic contradiction going on here. The writer perfectly spells complex, multi-syllable words like countermeasures and deviation, yet they completely fumble incredibly basic words. They spell business with 2 S's in the middle and 1 at the end, and totally mangle the word possession. To a trained forensic linguist, this absolutely screams of manufactured, deliberate typos. It's an intellectual disguise, right? It's an attempt to mask a highly educated background by just dropping in these fake phonetic errors. All right, Section 3. The 21-minute risk, analyzing the logistics of the crime scene. So, the crucial point here is that when the FBI's behavioral science unit reviewed the case, they flagged the note's creation as an extreme tactical anomaly. Forensic tests actually proved that sitting down to physically draft the practice note and then write out the massive final note would take between 21 and 22 agonizing minutes.
And here's the kicker. They weren't just writing for 21 minutes with supplies they brought with them. They used a highly specific in-house toolkit. The note was written on a pad of paper belonging to Patsy Ramsey. It was written using a Sharpie pen taken directly from her desk. And most bizarrely, after drafting this whole 3-page extortion demand, the pen and the pad were neatly replaced into their designated spots. I mean, I want you to really imagine the logistical reality of an outside intruder doing this, spending nearly half an hour sitting in a home, utilizing an in-house toolkit, and meticulously returning the items to their proper places while the family sleeps just upstairs. That is an astronomical risk.
Section 4. Decoding the handwriting fingerprints. The physical mechanics of the ink.
When analyzing the actual handwriting, forensic document examiners reached some immediate conclusions, but they also hit a massive wall of controversy. John Ramsey was quickly and entirely excluded as the author. However, the analysis of Patsy Ramsey's handwriting remains the most fiercely contested piece of physical evidence in the entire case. It sparked intense debate between independent experts and state examiners.
And the real reason for this debate centers on a phenomenon called the cursive print hybrid. This is a highly unique behavioral marker. Basically, it's the habit of constantly switching back and forth between standard block manuscript print and flowing cursive script within the exact same sentences. Independent examiners noted that the ransom note features this exact hybrid style, And crucially, they pointed out that Patsy Ramsey shared this specific behavioral trait when writing under pressure.
But the most fascinating physical evidence of disguise actually lies in the letter A. On page 1, the writer starts with a highly disguised double-story A, the kind you see in a typed font like Times New Roman. It requires conscious effort to write this way. But handwriting experts noted that by the time the writer reaches page 3, their hand is tired. Conscious focus drops and muscle memory degradation takes over. The letter A slips into a standard, natural, single-story loop. We are literally watching the author's physical disguise melt away into their natural handwriting pattern.
Section 5. Insiders versus intruders. Applying the evidence to the theories.
Let's start with the money, $118,000. Consider the sheer statistical improbability of this ransom demand perfectly matching John Ramsey's exact corporate Christmas bonus from the prior year. That is a hyper-specific data point anchored right in the middle of this wild theatrical text.
It is just a profoundly confounding document, because both the insider and intruder camps actually use the exact same data to argue completely opposing conclusions. Take the financial match, for example. The insider camp says, only an insider would know that exact $118,000 figure. But the intruder camp argues, a disgruntled employee could have easily seen or heard about that exact corporate bonus. Regarding the staging location on a private back staircase, insiders argue this proves the author knew the family's intimate morning routines. Intruders, on the other hand, argue a killer deliberately placed it there to maximize terror and delay the parents from searching the house. And finally, the handwriting. State experts argue they cannot exclude Patsy Ramsey due to distinct similarities. Conversely, the intruder camp relies on independent experts who completely clear her, arguing that any visual similarities are simply the natural byproduct of an intruder deliberately trying to frame her and mock her style.
The ransom note is a mirror that reflects whichever theory you bring to it. So, as we close this explainer, I'm going to leave you with this final analytical challenge. Weighing the bizarre movie tropes and manufactured typos against the physical handwriting degradation and that staggering 21-minute logistical risk, which forensic profile do you think this master file truly supports? Was it an outsider meticulously drafting a theatrical illusion in the dark, or an insider desperately trying to write their way out of a nightmare?